How does a serial entrepreneur scale his business? Stay tuned. Welcome to this week's edition, episode 229. Yes, episode 229. We've been doing this a while, so thank you for being here. It is Wednesday, so it must be NoteSchool TV. So thanks for coming in today. Let's take care of a little housekeeping before we get into our guest today. By the way, amazing content, amazing guest as always. And so, first of all, if you would, go ahead and like this episode. Yep, go ahead and hit that like button and share with us any comments or questions that you may have. We'll be happy to get back with you. And number two, if you have not already subscribed to the NoteSchool TV channel, go ahead and do that as well. And then number three, hit that bell notification. Bing. Yep, go ahead and hit it so that you will know when we are about to go live every Wednesday at 11:05 Central Time. If you'd like to know more about what we do at NoteSchool, simply go to noteschool.com/TV. Again, noteschool.com/TV. So, without any further ado, Eddie will not be with us this week. He is at an event in California, I believe in Palm Springs. So it will be myself and our guest today. Let's welcome on Mr. John Paul Pacheco.
Hey, Joe. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. It is so good to see you.
Good to see you, too.
Yeah, it's been back in, November when you were at a class and we met in Dallas at the 2-day class. And gosh, you've been pretty busy since then.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely learned a lot and still learning more every day.
Absolutely. So, John Paul, let's see. No, the class was in December, right? Right before Christmas.
It was right, I think towards the end of November.
Yeah, okay. Yep. So good. So tell us where you're from. Where do you live, man?
I'm out here in Amarillo, Texas, right in the middle of the square top part of Texas there in the Panhandle.
Yeah, there was a big country and western singer that sang a song about Amarillo.
Yeah, be here by morning. So.
That's right, Mr. George Strait, no doubt.
Yeah.
So you have an amazing background, and from the teaser, talking about being a serial entrepreneur, you were fortunate to understand the value of that. So tell us a little bit about your background, really, and what led you to where you are today as far as your real estate business. But give us a little background. How did you get started along this entrepreneurial pathway?
It's hard to say how you end up with it, When I was in elementary school, I used to take my farm toys to school and try to lease them out for other kids to play with. So it kind of be a baseline there. After high school, I got involved with some heavy equipment operations. I was digging up rock and selling it. And things just, work out and don't work out. And when I was in college, I bought a bar and was operating that with a buddy of mine and graduated college. And after that, I decided bar business probably wasn't the best path forward. So I'd graduated and I was helping my stepdad with his restaurant. He'd found some bad health. And so I was helping him that. And while I was doing that, I decided I was going to start up my real estate investing venture about a little over 7 years ago now.
Yeah.
And
so let's go back a minute to where you said you took your farm toys, your toys to school and leased them out to your friends. Yeah, I'd say that was a pretty young start.
Yeah, back in elementary. I don't know where I got that idea, but we didn't have a whole lot of takers, but we had a whole process of trying.
Well, when I was a kid, we used to trade our marbles and, all this other stuff. And yeah, that was the way it was in my life as well with this entrepreneurial stuff. So you got an MBA as well, and yeah, and then that's what I joke about with everybody. Is it took me 10 years to get a 4-year degree because I just kept coming and going and coming. And why am I doing this? But then you finally figure out to finish it. So let's talk about where you were as far as your investing. You did one of the popular, very popular, started 3 or 4 years ago, and that was the BURR method. Tell us a little bit about what that really means.
Yeah. So on my very first deal, I bought from a wholesaler as a property, pretty solid property, just needed some rehab on it. The plan was, it's BURR, buy, rehab, rent, and refinance, repeat. I got it rehab, took a while, and got it rented. Pretty amazing to get that first check on that. That's when there's opportunity. And
Right.
I had the financing lined out initially on that particular property, so I didn't have to refinance. But I just kept repeating from there at that point.
Yeah. So, and that was really, it's not as popular today because some of the things we'll talk about that's happened, in the world in general and in real estate in general. But the BURR was just, buy a property, rehab it, or buy it, then rehab it, then rent it out, then refinance it, and then do it again. And it was a great process. But then after things started to change, rates started to change, maintenance costs started to change, taxes started to go up, insurance goes up 50%, and then the rents kind of leveled out and stopped going up. So, that, and most people don't get that there's a way to kind of get around that. But yeah, so what then, what was your primary focus then on as you were investing in rentals? Just tell us a little bit what being a landlord entails for those out there that don't really know what all that is.
I mean, you can build wealth with it. A lot of the things that definitely set me back are, tenant turnovers. Like you said, these costs, man, those taxes just went crazy.
Yeah.
That you get renters that don't pay you, and then so you got to do evictions. I mean, another huge cost too with all that is vacancies. When you got those properties sitting there, you're rehabbing them. You also got the vacancy costs, your power, electricity, all that's going on. So, I mean, I don't know. It like you said, I think it used to work a lot better than it used to, than it does now. But it's definitely a lot more challenging.
Well, John Paul, I think that one of the biggest things is that everything is in cycles, right? You got some cattle as well, and cattle prices go up, cattle prices go down, and it's just in cycles. And we were in kind of that rental cycle when after COVID and during that period, and then things started to change, and now we're in a note cycle. Right? Some people still love their rentals, and that's okay too. There's okay to keep a few rentals if that's what you want to do. So tell us about where you went then, and how many rentals do you have, John Paul?
I'm currently right at 30 income producing, units right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think just about everything I have is a standalone single family house.
Right.
Market conditions changed. I ended up with 2 properties. I was doing rehabs last year. I did about 8 of them, and I was trying to go forward, stepping stone. I had 2 deals I needed to get to, rehab and get rented. I could never get to them last year. I was having to backstep to go rehab these properties that I'd already rehabbed in the past. And so anyway, I finally getting caught up on those 2 deals. But I mean, that's, I accumulated 30, but now with that many, it's just hard to keep moving forward without having to go back and continue to maintain these properties.
For sure. Well, HGTV, right, and Torek and Christina and all the different ones. That 30-minute turnaround or hour turnaround from the time you buy them until you get the big check, man, that's pretty short for those guys. and, and we joke about that, and I noticed you mentioned something kind of in the notes you sent me before we started. Yeah. And I was thinking about that, and it was like, with a rehab, it's like you do get to see something at the end, and that is fulfilling, right? You took it where it just looked like total crap to where it looks like really not. And there is something to say about that. And then when you're in the rental business, you've got to be very good at taking something that it was, it was good. Somebody moved in it. They lived there a couple years. They paid their rents most of the time, right? And then they move out, and you got to go do it all over again, right?
There's always more than just picking up after them, and clean up what they messed up,
Mm-hmm.
Find out, get in there, the gas line's leaking, this place needs a new roof, a water heater, just ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. It's over and over, just typical ownership stuff. But
yeah,
as a landlord, that is very difficult to overcome financially,
Well, again, as the margins start getting, when insurance is up over 50%, maintenance is way up, and getting people to do the maintenance, and then management, and then everything else that got money cost, interest rates up, and all of those things, it makes it very, very difficult to keep up with and very frustrating. I know one comment you made here was that, man, last year was exhausting.
It was. I was ready to move forward. I do enjoy doing rehabs,
Mm-hmm.
But when you got to get back to the same property a few months later because you had to kick the tenant out, it's just a little bit frustrating. When you're looking forward, wanting to move forward, it can be very exhausting. And when you got projects on the burner, and I mean, there could be something to say about the way I manage things for sure, but it just, it feels like you're getting pushed back instead of forward. And being able to scale forward is just a challenge when you're going backwards.
So tell us about really then what attracted you to Notes. Did you know anything about Notes before you decided you were going to come to a Note School class, or so what tell us a little bit about that journey.
A few years ago, I'd purchased a rental portfolio off a guy. And in that, he had a few notes in there that came with it, and I really didn't know anything about it at all, except I knew that I wasn't having to go maintain these properties. The taxes were coming in with the insurance that was getting taken care of. They were paying on time. I was like, man, that is really cool that still collecting cash flow off this, but I'm not having to get out there and take care of this stuff. Mm-hmm. That was the basis of my introduction to it. I read a couple books by a couple different authors. It left me with more questions than answers. And I had a hunger for the knowledge of it, but until I ended up here at NoteSchool, I was not satisfied.
Yeah. So then, so the attraction for Notes then was that you didn't have to do all the maintenance. You didn't have to worry about the taxes. You didn't have to worry about the cost of the insurance, because John Paul, you became the bank, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
So as we went through this, and as you continue, as you've learned here, so what was kind of your reaction or your thought process when you were at the 3-day class, and then between becoming the bank versus the landlord? How did that kind of change the way you thought about this whole thing?
I was super excited to hear it. It's just, to me, it was just a relief, of getting to understand I can still provide this quality products to people, but put it in the people who want it, who want to move their lives forward with the property, put it in their hands. let them maintain it and take care of it how they see fit, how they want to.
Right.
And then there's still opportunity for cash flow for years to come off of this. And it clicked so much at that class.
Well, what we talk about at Note School is you do the work once and you get paid for a long time, right? You do the work once, you put the right homeowner in there, you vet them, you do all the things that you need to do, and it's as Eddie said, you can own 50. It's easier to own 1,000 rentals than it is to own. I'm sorry, it's easier to own 1,000 notes than it is to own 50 rentals, and that's true, right?
Absolutely.
So as you were doing this, so tell us then, are you, with the rentals that you have, what's been going on with those? Are you converting those over? Are you looking to do that?
Yes, absolutely. So it probably wasn't long after joining Note School. At the end of December, maybe, I had one that the tenant had left. I had vacant, was just wrapping up the rehab on it. And I did, bring it to the deal lab and discussed it.
Yes, you did. Yeah.
But I posted it for sale, as, private financing. With offering that, I was a little bit skeptical, nervous too, is a change to do it that route. But within a few weeks, I mean, just a typical timeline of getting it rented. I had a family, I put on the MLS, offered the realtor who's bringing it to me a commission, but she brought it to me. She was able to make some income off it. They paid me 20% down on this particular unit, and they were so excited to be able to get their own home. They're I-10 buyer. And so, I mean, they've been looking for months, and just the excitement that family had to be able to have something of their own, that was just really awesome to see, and be able to pass it off to them. They have something of their own now, and I'm not having to worry about maintenance on this property.
John, there is a joy in that. And you're talking about an I-10 buyer. That's an individual tax identification number here in the United States, legally, and all of that. And they're what we call at Note School a penalty box buyer. There's a group of people, and you and I really are. I'm an entrepreneur as well. I mean, I do things with Note School, but I do my own thing. And when you go out and you go try to get a loan, get a mortgage to buy a house, they look at the banks, go, oh, well, you don't have a W-2, right? You don't have this, you don't have that, you don't report all your income. You do it all right. It's just you're in that box. So if you're a contractor, if you're a gig worker, if you're whatever you are, an I-10 buyer, it's hard. And when you give somebody a hand up, it becomes a really good feeling.
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, I'm glad I made that decision, not just for me, but for them, that, to help them out, and, he's a construction worker. So, I mean, he already had ideas of how they're going to make it their own, and build it up for their future.
And they know they can go do it, and they can gain, they can gain the equity in it. And, some of the pundits out there would say, yeah, but if you kept it as a rental, then, you'd get the appreciation. Well, what we know is that as a rental, you cap out what you do as a rental because you have a tenant, right? But when you're selling it, you're not selling it to your tenant. You wait till your tenant moves out and it becomes vacant again, and you clean it up again. And then you put somebody in it that's a homeowner. And so you can make twice as much really being the bank today than you can being the landlord. And we know that. So you've done the first one, and I guess you're working on a second one that just became available, or just a tenant just moved out.
Yep, had a property this week just become vacant, and working on the rehab on it. I think I have things lined out, and it probably take me a few weeks to get this one done, but we're going to go straight to market to offer this one to another family, and do private financing on it as well. So
And the buyers that we're getting, like your buyer that you got for the first one there, they have money to put down. They pay their bills. They're just that just missed person that just really, it's hard to go to the bank and get that. It's harder to go to a bank today than it's been in a long time. This is one of those times when, it's about a 50-50 shot when you go to the bank. So as you move on, you're thinking you'll go ahead and convert some more of these properties. And so as you move forward, are you planning on keeping keeping the notes on these properties? Are you going to maybe sell some partials or do a pledge, just some other strategies to recapitalize? Or are you just going to kind of see how it goes and then decide what you're going to do in the future?
So as an entrepreneur, the creative part of this is awesome to get to experience, at least recently too. I do love the rehab stuff, and it's fun, but it's also time consuming, stressful. So with that said, in the future, I want to try these options and see what they're like, actually go through the motions and experience it. And, there's another pathway forward there too, which is super exciting that, as I learn and start converting rentals, and there's a whole nother pathway to go down, to learn down, which I love, and more opportunity, opportunity for everybody too, which is really cool. A lot of different ways.
Well, as you have the income coming in as you're converting the properties you have now, so you'll have a steadier income, right? Because now you're selling them and you're the bank, and you'll also have more time, John Paul. And as you get your, what you need to make on the things taken care of, and as you have more time, you can certainly get a whole lot more creative, can't you?
Oh, absolutely. That's one of my biggest fears, is having too much time on my hands. So, but there's so much to learn and so much to do. I don't. My wife tells me not to worry about that.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Happy life, happy wife, right? So share with us. Legacy is a big thing at NoteSchool, right? And I know you are a family man, and your family is your life, and all of those things. So tell us a little bit about what kind of legacy you're hoping to build, or you're going to build. There is no hope to it, right? You're going to build for your family. And then tell us a little bit about your why you're doing this, and why you do what you do on a daily basis.
Just the idea of building family wealth, just in general, is I don't know. It's really intriguing. I think it's really important to both my parents. They're real close to being borderline poor. Growing up most of my life,
Mm-hmm.
I had some good teachers in my life. And they always had a little bit of wealth. They kind of gave me some guidance on wealth. So being able to pass that forward to my kids, I think that's a great opportunity. But more importantly to me, I don't just want to hand that over. This is, investing in notes and, this real estate opportunity. It's something I can work with my two boys on, help them grow their path forward. That's excites me. It's up to them,
Yeah.
but it's something we could do together, and they still have time for their passions. If we can do this together as a family, as a team, but then they can go out and pursue what they're passionate about, Then, like, I like agriculture. I hope someone might like that too. But if they don't, they can go. There's something we can come together on, but then they can still go do their thing.
Well, they can have the lifestyle that they choose to have. And that's what we really want as parents, right? We want our kids, our grandkids. You'll get there one day, John Paul. You have, and it's having those options, and them being able to do what they want to do. So to wrap up, is there any advice you would give folks that are thinking about coming to a note school class?
When I first saw NoteSchool is kind of advertised to me, I was like, is this really my opportunity to learn about notes? I was really excited. When I went to the class with y'all, y'all are some of the best people. You know, you, Joe, is great to get to know you a little bit over
You
these
too,
past
man.
months. Eddie's just spectacular. The whole team at Note School. If you want to learn about notes at all, you know, in this pathway with real estate, you're not going to find a better place. All these guys, I mean, they have so much passion. It's so inspiring. I really appreciate you, Joe, and
Thank
all of
you.
y'all. It's just fantastic.
You know what? We appreciate you, John Paul, and what you bring to the table as well. You're the type person that comes to Note School, right? You have a vision, you have a plan, and you want to make things better for yourself and for your family, and that we love that. So thanks so much for being a part of Note School. And listen, I'm going to wrap this thing up, and so as we will see you guys next week, same place, same time, Wednesday, 11:05 Central Time. And we'll have a lesson next week, and we'll show you some of the numbers that come along with what it means to go from being to being a landlord to the bank, right? So if you'd like to know more about what we do at Note School, simply go to noteschool.com/TV, noteschool.com/TV. We'll see you same place, same time next week. Thanks.